Hi, welcome to another episode of Firm Foundations Podcast with your hosts CJ and Tony. We have been chugging along in Genesis, wrestling with the text from almost a year now. And
We started in April, was it?
yeah,
So
April last year, and we're almost at the end.
we're almost at it. We'll be done with Genesis before the end of the month.
Yeah,
So
and
this is January.
it's been a ride. We've seen how the Lord uses the prophet, uses the collective knowledge of civilization, and engages in a conversation with the surrounding peoples and their faiths. And one thing I was thinking earlier today was how evangelism, how the gospel of the kingdom of heaven has been the core. And we think about it as Jesus's thing. He declares that that's what he came to do, to preach the gospel in all the towns and synagogues of Israel. But that has been the very heart of the message of the Bible from the very beginning. The kingdom of God. And we've been following that tread, or that line throughout generations. Went from the global perspective to a certain family and the generations of that family. And there's been tension in each generation. Which brother would be the one to carry the divine mantle, the kingdom forward? Who would carry God's purposes forward? And for what feels like eternity now, it's been a toss-up between Joseph and Judah and Reuben. And it coalesced to Joseph and Judah. And we saw that in one of the previous chapters, in chapter 44, that between verses 18 and 34 is where we see the switch, where the crown and scepter come to rest upon Judah. And he proves this the Lord proves this by revealing Judah's heart and his transformation as a man, and how he fights for his youngest brother, his half-brother. And the arbiter of this fact is the one who has been set up to wrestle with him and contend with him for this crown. It's Joseph, the test that Joseph devises, or God devises to implement through Joseph, however you want to phrase it. It is through that medium that this fact, this change of heart, this maturation, and this merit is revealed. But that tension continues to go back and forth, and it's going to play an important role in Israel's history hundreds of years into the future. So even though it's settled, there's always that tension for a long time. But our story, our time in this chapter of this nation's history, in the history of our faith is coming to a close. An era is about to pass. And what we have left is mostly housekeeping. What to do with our family? How do we make sure that the children of Israel do not get assimilated into Egypt as they grow fat and live off the riches of the land? How do they maintain their identity when things go sideways? What does the future hold well into the future, next almost 2,000 years? What's going to happen? The seeds of that story is being laid down now, and it's going to sprout. The rain will fall from heaven, and the seeds will sprout, and this story will continue. And it's going to be interesting to, when we get there, to catch those glimpses of the future in the last 4 chapters that we have on hand in Genesis. It's been a struggle for me personally, this chapter, because it feels like there's not a whole lot there. Like, what am I going to comment on? It's not that there's nothing there. It's just nothing that has inspired me, except when I look further into chapter 49 and chapter 50. I see. Oh, okay. That's where we're going with that. But again, like we mentioned in an earlier episode, in Jewish thought, it's not the destiny or destination, it's the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something there for us if we just allow the Holy Spirit to speak it to us. So we'll see if anything comes up that
might.
we missed while we were having a conversation about this, or if y'all might receive something from the Holy Spirit, and please share it with us.
I like how you talk about the seeds being laid out in the Genesis, and God will send the rains, and throughout the rest of the Old Testament, we see that plant sprout and start growing.
Yeah.
And there's going to be, throughout the history of Israel, as we know, they go into droughts and then they come back out, and they go into droughts and they come back out. But he never lets them die out. Never lets them they never lose their relationship with God, in the sense of being completely gone.
Yeah.
God never lets go.
Never.
Israel does many times.
Yeah.
Which really surprises me as a father.
Yeah.
Not that I'd let any of my children go, but it's like, I've had enough of this. Especially what they do. Anyway.
Yeah.
You ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Chapter 47. Then Joseph went and told Pharaoh and said, my father and my brothers, their flocks and their herds, and all that they possess have come from the land of Canaan, and indeed they are in the land of Goshen. And he took 5 men from among his brothers and presented them to Pharaoh. So I'm going to stop there so I have a little bit here. As I said earlier, I'm curious to which 5 he presented them.
Yeah, I mean,
you said that it was probably the 5 younger.
Well, not necessarily younger.
I bet you Benjamin was there. thought that was
Probably.
Joseph's brother.
But the Hebrew is it's interesting. It can also be translated as 5 of the lesser brothers, as in not lesser in years necessarily, but lesser in stature, lesser in talent, lesser in physical strength. Basically, the 5 that have nothing to offer Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
When the Pharaoh meets them, he's going to look at them and go, yeah, whatever. Like, because as we mentioned in last episode, the way Joseph coaches his brothers to answer the Pharaoh when they meet him is all designed to prevent him from wanting to associate with them and put them in power over whatever governmental functions, so that they can be left alone and not get assimilated,
Mm-hmm.
not hold on dearly to life in Egypt.
Well, what about the other brothers? I mean, apparently they don't get assimilated as far as we know. But I mean, they.
Well, yeah, they don't get to meet the Pharaoh because
Okay.
the Pharaoh might want to take them in like he did Joseph and use them in his kingdom somehow. And then that means they get more entrenched in the system. Maybe they marry local wives the way Joseph was made to. Maybe they intermarry and then lose their Jewishness,
Okay.
for lack of a better term. He's been. It's not that he doesn't want his brothers to do well. We're going to see that. If it hasn't been clear till now through the way he's been acting, and he's being a little mischievous, a little devious, but he's made it clear that he's forgiven them, that he doesn't hold anything against them, and he sees God's hand in everything. So it's not that he doesn't want them to prosper, but he doesn't want them to be ensnared by the dangers of the good life in Egypt.
The reason I say Benjamin is one of the 5 is because he favored Benjamin a lot. Now, unless he was thinking, I don't want my brother to get, assimilated, or I guess it depends on how he's thinking.
Yeah, I mean,
how he protects that. I'm sure he protected Benjamin more than he protected the others.
Yeah, we're not given
a whole lot of
an
information
answer.
on that. Yeah,
we're not told who it was, but it could be very well. The Pharaoh might have asked specifically for Benjamin. So, who's this one dude that all this gaggle has happened over?
right. It's all about his brother and his father.
Yeah.
Okay. Verse 3, then Pharaoh said to his brothers, what is your occupation? And they said to Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. And they said to Pharaoh, we have come to dwell in the land because your servants have no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. Now therefore, please let your servants dwell in the land of Goshen. Then Pharaoh spoke to Joseph, saying, your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. Have your father and brothers dwell in the best of the land, and let them dwell in the land of Goshen. And if you know any competent men among them, then make them chief herdsmen over my livestock. How do you like that?
Joseph knew this was coming.
Because in the previous chapter, they're looked down on. They're hated. So Pharaoh's like, well, Why should I make my Egyptian people be hated? I'll make them herdsmen over my herds, so that way they don't have the low place.
Yeah.
Of course, they just lost their jobs. Now what are they? They've been replaced by foreigners. So I don't know if that affected those people. I imagine there's a lot
Yeah.
for a whole country.
It's well, he's talking specifically
Specifically
for
his herds.
his
alone,
herds.
Okay,
So, I mean, still, there's probably quite a few of them.
we're going to see
And
that change.
it's going to get a lot.
It's going to get ugly.
Yeah, it's going to get ugly, and there's going to be a lot more people working and toiling for the Pharaoh soon. But I guess maybe it doesn't matter after all, since they're all going to be working for the Pharaoh anyways.
Sooner or later.
But
So it's just
yeah.
Then Joseph brought in his father Jacob and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Jacob, "How old are you?" And Jacob said to Pharaoh, "These days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have been the days of my years of my life, and they have not attained to the days of the years of my life and my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage." So Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. Is he blessing him for allowing his family to come down? What do you think that blessing entailed? You know, obviously, he's very thankful that Pharaoh has offered him the best land in Egypt.
Yeah.
And so that's a big plus. Another big plus is that his son is in second command. And, it's worked out so now his family will not perish because they've been invited.
Yeah. There's a lot to be thankful for, and I'm sure he made mention of that.
I mean, we know it's
But how do you bless a king?
God's plan, but how do you bless a king?
Yeah, because I mean,
with long life, I bless you with long life. That's about all he can.
May your kingdom grow and stretch in every direction, and everything you lay your hands to may turn into gold. Yeah. I mean, my mind again goes to that scene in Fiddler on the Roof, where they're coming out of the synagogue, and one of the disciples looks at the rabbi and says, "Rabbi, we have a blessing for everything. Is there a blessing for the czar?" And he goes, "Is there a blessing for the czar? Of course there's a blessing for. There's a blessing for everything. May he be blessed far, far away from me." And so, of course, that's tongue in cheek. But how do you bless a king? Like you said, long life, a long reign, riches and expansion and all that good stuff. But it's interesting that even though it doesn't hold up to the text itself, the sages, when they looked at it, they said, "Oh, he blessed him that the famine should end and everything, should be fertile again." And they say this is 5
years.
Yeah, there's 5 more years of famine. What are you talking about? But maybe they see the beginning of the end is maybe more appropriately.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what to make out of it. Again, yeah. This chapter is like there's stuff going on, but it's
a lot of empty holes.
Yeah, I mean the questions are not life-altering, not earth-shattering. The answers are few and far in between. And
Verse 11, and Joseph situated his father and his brothers and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh commanded. Then Joseph provided his father, his brothers, and all his father's household with bread according to the number of their families.
Now this Ramesses, again, is interesting because the city of Ramesses did not exist in those days. So we know it's an anachronism. It's whereas Scribe went back to update the text so that current generation and future generations would understand it, would know where they're talking about.
Well, because Moses wrote this,
Yeah.
and he already knows that Ramses
Yeah.
is in the future, well, of this text. But like you said, he's showing where, gives a better idea of where this is at.
Yeah. So it's interesting that it gives us another glimpse into how ancient the text is and how we can trust it because we know the progression of events, even if we don't know everything perfectly from that era of history, we know that hey, these line up. I do appreciate that.
Hi, Cookie.
Yes, the puppy's with us again.
Verse 13. Now there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the grain which they bought, and Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. So when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For the money has failed." uh, I think that's a little first hint of being a little ticked off that there's an Israelite in charge of their destiny, of their lives. Why should we die uh, in your presence? That's not right.
I mean, it depends on where they put the emphasis, right?
Maybe so, yeah.
That could be the first inkling of ancient anti-Semitism.
So Egypt's out of money. The people of Egypt are out of money. They've spent all their money on surviving only into 2 years or so of the famine. So now what do we do?
Yeah, it does speak to ancient economies, right? They had money just like we have money now. Of course, they use gold and silver compared to our fiat currencies, but in the end, they had a currency and they ran out. But they still had stuff to barter with. They still had wealth. They had animals. They had things that they could trade, but the economy was already set on on a monetary basis, and when the monetary system collapses, like we learned in 2007, 2008, it becomes very difficult. But yeah, it's interesting to see that happen that early.
Yeah. Then Joseph said, "Give your livestock, and I will give you bread for your livestock if the money is gone." So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for the horses, flocks, the cattle of the herds, and for the donkeys. Thus he fed them with bread in exchange for all of their livestock that year. Maybe that's for the third year.
Perhaps.
Because they went to 2 years. So this is going to be for the third year, or maybe the fourth, depending on how they started that timeline.
Yeah.
When the year had ended, they came to him the next year and said to him, "We will not hide from my lord that our money is gone." Well, because they already know it's gone. "My lord also has our herds of livestock. There is nothing left in the sight of my lord but our bodies and our lands. Why should we die before your eyes?" There we go again. "Both we and our land. Buy us and our land for bread." and we and our land will be servants of Pharaoh. Give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land may not be desolate. Down to the nitty gritty. Now they're selling themselves
Yeah.
and their everything that they've ever possessed,
Yeah.
including their own lives, their own bodies, to be slaves. Slaves and Egyptians being slaves in their own country.
Yeah.
That's got to be. And you know they. Now, let me ask you this: is Goshen paying, are the Israelites paying for bread, or is it given to them by the good graces of Joseph and Pharaoh, or just Joseph, whichever, however you want to look at it?
Well, once we get to 50, we're going to see that he's telling his brothers that I'm going to provide you. Don't worry about it. When they're afraid, oh, now our dad is dead, and Joseph might want to take revenge. He said, don't worry about it.
Right.
I'm going to take care of you. So, are they paying or not? Interesting. The
way it sounds, because Pharaoh brings them in and gives them the best, and treats them better than his own people. It seems like. I mean, means that he gave them the best of the land.
Yeah, but they're only 70 people plus their wives.
Right, and means that they're only that many, and they're not going to multiply that fast before a few years.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, oh, okay, come here. Oh, yeah, good.
So, true, there's only a few of them, and what they would have paid in wouldn't have been amounted to much, most likely.
Yeah, and nepotism is a thing. When you're in power, you give gifts to your friends and family. So the commentaries don't really say anything about it, and I see no indication one way or the other. But the fact that he says later on that he's going to provide for them, seems like he's saying, I'm going to continue to provide for you. Like, when my dad was alive, I looked after y'all. I looked out for y'all. I'm still going to do that. So,
your guess is no, they didn't?
I'm guessing that they did not pay for, or if they did pay for some, as long as they had money, when things went sideways.
I'm agreeing with you. I don't think they paid. I think they were highly favored somehow.
Yeah.
Verse 20, then Joseph brought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. For every man of the Egyptians sold his field, because the famine was severe upon them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he moved them into cities from one end of the borders of Egypt to the other end. Only the land of the priest he did not buy, for the priest had rations allotted to them by Pharaoh, and they ate their rations which Pharaoh gave them. Therefore they did not sell their lands. Then Joseph said to the people, indeed, I have bought you and your land this day for Pharaoh. Look, here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. Okay. What's the point in sowing the land if it's not going to grow? I mean, it's a famine. They're in a drought. Are they planting next to the river that's going dry, or?
Conceivably, the Nile never runs completely dry. The magic of the Nile is that it overflows, it floods, and thus deposits alluvial soil on top of the other soil, causing it to be fertile. So The main problem is that it's not flooding, it's not overflowing. But conceivably, there's still water.
So everybody's maybe growing their own little gardens
So maybe they're trying.
for their just for their family. They're going down with buckets and getting it out of the river. And
Maybe they're having limited success.
mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're providing for their families, they're not going to sell themselves, obviously. So, so it's not going great. The nutrients are depleted,
Right.
but some stuff might be still growing here and there a little bit.
Sort of like what happened here in the plains of America back in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, the
They
Dust Bowl.
kept on planting, but not replenishing those nutrients. And like you said, kind of became a dust bowl because they didn't they took all the nutrients out of the ground. It was just plain dusty dirt. There's nothing to grow, no way to grow anything.
Yeah, and they stripped the. Oh, I forgot where. Like in Nebraska, Idaho, the native grass grows roots so deep into the soil it's 30 feet deep. So it holds the soil
Mm-hmm.
and prevents erosion. You rip that up, you put turf on there, or regular grass on there, it doesn't hold. If you plant corn, it doesn't hold. But yeah, similar thing. So the good soil basically is gone, like you said. So there's it's not, when we read the Bible, we always tend to think of things in black or white, all or nothing, and life doesn't bear that out. It's not all or nothing. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole bit of messy. But the general situation is famine. But they're trying. It's like,
Right.
What are you gonna do? Just sit on your thumbs and do nothing? You have to try.
We're going to find out that they do get some crops come in. We're fixing to find out.
Yeah.
So there was something maybe planted closer to the, now being this wide and it goes this narrow, maybe this area here now has still got that fertile soil to it. So they're planting closer to or something.
Yeah.
And it shall come to pass in the harvest that you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh. 4/5 shall be your own as the seed for the field and for your food, for those of your household, and as food for your little ones. So they said, you have saved our lives. Let us find favor in the sight of my Lord, and we will be Pharaoh's servants. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt to this day that Pharaoh should have 1/5, except for the land of the priest only, which did not become Pharaoh's. So they had some kind of harvest come in.
Yeah.
And I think Joseph was making sure that they didn't run out of food, the Pharaoh, because I would imagine after 5 or 6 years, even the food that they had stored probably did get rotted or consumed by animals or insects. They've lost some, I'm sure. So now he's making sure, hey, I'll make sure Pharaoh has his that he needs.
Well, yeah, and beyond that, because let's face it, the king is always going to look after the king. So the king is going to have the best. He's not going to eat the moldy,
the moldy bread.
But beyond that, it's the idea of, well, what now? What?
Mm-hmm.
How do we incentivize people to stay? Because you take the land away, your identity is tied to the land. Right. This is our country. This is our land. This has been in my family for generations. like where my brother lives now, it's been in our family for 3 generations. Should we lose that, it would hurt. So, what's the incentive? Why wouldn't they become nomads and move elsewhere?
Well,
The famine.
the famine.
But still,
And they know there's food there. So. And
perhaps you start following maybe you learn to become a fisherman and you just drift away. So how does the king ensure that, or how does the viceroy ensure that the king has people still in the land to be king over and provide and do what needs to be done for the country? Here's what we do. You still get 4/5 and give us 1/5
right.
as a tax. And
That's a tax.
we'll call it a tax, but it's sharecropping.
Yeah.
And it's
well, yeah, okay, it's sharecropping. Well, I don't know,
because
they're not getting anything back.
Well, they're getting 4/5.
What they planted.
Yeah, but it's the king's land, right?
Yep.
So they're
That's
working
true.
on somebody else's land.
Okay.
That's sharecropping.
There you go. Yep.
But
that's right.
But yeah, but it's interesting that he could have said, "Give us 4/5, and you keep 1/5," because yeah, whatever. What you gonna do?
They have the incentive there on the right side.
Yeah. People are already slaves in their own countries and sharecroppers. And times are evil and things are happening, so don't want to rock the boat too much.
Verse 27. So Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions there and grew and multiplied exceedingly.
I think that answers your question.
How fast can you grow in 1 year? At most, you might 25%.
Well, let's think of it. In 215 years, they go from 70 people to over 600,000.
Yeah, you grow exponentially. You have 10 people, then you have 15, then you have 22, then you have 33, and it starts, but it's very slow at the beginning. It had to be.
Yeah.
Depending on who they counted. If they're just counting Israelites, there was only 70, right? Was it 70?
70 plus the women.
Okay, so 110, 120. Because the slaves didn't count, or the servants didn't count, because they most likely were not Israelites.
I mean,
we don't know. I know later on, they're depending on what they wanted to do. Israel had their own kinsmen as servants, but okay.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, who knows? But either way, it sounds like they're growing fast.
Yes. Verse 28. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the length of Jacob's life was 147 years. When the time drew near that Israel must die, I think they're changing that name again. He called on his son Joseph and said to him, "Now if I have found favor in your sight, please put your hand under my thigh and deal kindly and truly with me. Please do not bury me in Egypt, but let me lie with my fathers. You shall carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burial place." And he said, "I will do as you have said." Then he said, "Swear to me." And he swore to him. So Israel bowed himself. No, they changed the name back. So Israel bowed himself on the head of the bed. So he definitely doesn't want to be buried in Egypt. In fact, he wants to be buried back where his fathers are buried. Which he'll be buried next to Leah. Isn't that what you said earlier?
Yeah.
And then later on they get Sarah
or Rachel.
I'm sorry,
Or,
Rachel.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, later on they'll, and that's an interesting thing because when we go to First Kings, even we see that Rachel is still buried in her initial burial spot.
where she died.
So yeah, but for now, yeah, he wants to be buried in his family grave. Yeah, but this is also interesting. Again, because like we discussed in a previous episode, the Hebrew Bible is traditionally the Hebrew text is traditionally divided into parshat, into passages that don't exactly align with our English translation, the chapter and verse separations, especially in the earlier days before chapters and verses are invented, and they just it was just a text like a regular book, but they still separated each portion from the other. They would start a new portion on a new line, or they would at least leave 9 letter spaces in between the two um, passages to signal like, okay, this week's reading starts here,
Right.
and previous readings stops there. Yeah. But this passage is different. It just continues on into the next, and the sages looked at this and said, there's something weird going on here. And they're like, oh, it's connected to, well, the whole theme of the next 3 chapters is the last days. And so they're like, okay, there's Joseph or Jacob is going to reveal quite a bit about Israel's future as a nation. But there's some stuff that he didn't know, some stuff that was not revealed to him. And some of it's going to come up in 49 when we get there. But so they call this a closed parsha, meaning it's the fullness of the future is closed, it's hidden, it's veiled. So that, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to tie it to the rest of the conversation here, but that it's something we should look out for as we read the next few chapters. In the meanwhile, if our conversation is a blessing to you, if it helps you block out a certain amount of time to just wrestle with the scripture and spend time with the Lord, wrestling with his word, then please take a moment to like, subscribe, share. If there's something you feel like you would like to contribute to the conversation, whether we misspoke on some issue or you would like to give us a encouragement, or you have further understanding regarding the text in a certain area, please comment. We would like to learn from you as much as we're trying to help motivate and teach. Furthermore, by doing so, you will become co-laborers with us in the kingdom, that we can spread the gospel and the knowledge of the Bible to the nations. Because YouTube looks at your engagement with this video through the likes, subscribing, sharing, and commenting, and says, there's something here, there's an interest, let me show it to as many people as possible. So, please. And thank you.
So we're going to move into 48.
Yeah.
I got something for you on this one when I get started here.
All right.
Okay. Now it came to pass after these things that Joseph was told, indeed, your father is sick. And he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And Jacob was told, look, your son Joseph is coming to you. And Israel strengthened himself and sat up on the bed. Then Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me and said to me, behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make you of a multitude of people and give this land to your descendants after you as an everlasting possession. And now your 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. So he's claiming these 2, okay, as Reuben, turn the page, and Simeon, they shall be mine. Your offspring, whom you begot after them, shall be yours. They will be called by the name of their brothers in their inheritance. But as for me, when I came from Paddan, Rachel died beside me in the land of Canaan on the way when there was but little distance to go to Ephrath. And I buried her there on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. I noticed at this certain time, this is the first time he put Ephraim before Manasseh. Manasseh was firstborn, correct?
Yep.
So nothing was said by Joseph, because normally when you talk to people, and even nowadays, you always name your first child first.
Yeah.
Or at least your first son in some cultures. But here he puts Ephraim before Manasseh. There's a little hint there, in my opinion, that he's setting this up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're gonna see it a little bit, but
you didn't catch that, son, but I'm gonna keep on going until you do catch this.
Yeah.
Uh,
and it's interesting, the fact that he goes, mine. Your sons are mine. They're not their brothers, their descendants aren't going to be said a son of Joseph. They're going to be called son of Ephraim, son of Manasseh, and they're literally taking your place.
Bummer.
Like, we're gonna see why.
Yeah.
But without getting into the family legacy bit of it, he's actually this action actually serves multiple purposes, and one of them is to tie Joseph's family back into Israel in a way that it cannot be theoretically separated again. Because so Joseph's sons, in theory, should have taken his place when he dies, and within the Egyptian structure,
right,
and been important servants in the court, so they would be able to continue to look after the rest of Israel. But also, since they're now adopted and tied into the family in a different way, Joseph's problem was he was by himself, right? He was alone. He had a younger brother, but he don't count, because what's he going to do about it? Now there's 2 older men who have power, like the other brothers aren't going to be able to easily get rid of them. So they're joined now. Like there's a power balance so that the family can't rip itself apart again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the main thing that he's doing there. But there's more, as you've hinted at. There's what do you mean Ephraim first, Manasseh second? Well, we'll see.
Verse 8, then Israel saw Joseph's sons and said, who are these? And Joseph said to his father, they are my sons whom God has given me in this place. And he said, please bring them to me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim with age, so that he could not see. Then Joseph brought them near him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, but in fact God has also shown me your offspring. Double blessing, so to speak.
Yeah.
So Joseph brought them from beside his knees, and he bowed down with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near him. Then Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, guiding his hands knowingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. So, let's go back to Isaac giving the blessing out, supposedly, as we had said, not knowing that he was giving Jacob the big blessing, because Jacob has, and his mother, of course, manipulated the whole situation where he would receive the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob was a manipulator back then. Jacob is manipulating right now. He's still got it in him. It's funny how his whole life you see these things happening.
Yeah.
And he knew, just even though he's blind, he knew which one would be on which side, where he could just go like this instead of going like this.
He's like, I'm blind, not dumb.
So now he's manipulating the whole process again.
Yeah.
But I just find it funny how he does that. How that, I'm not going to say it's a habit, but how he still has that mindset of, I will manipulate this in my, I don't know if that's the right way to say it.
I mean, maybe he has the thought, but it's also, oh, okay, come up here. Okay, baby, okay. I need you to be on this side. There we go. Don't block the volume, the microphone. There we go. It's prophetic, right? So when he manipulated situations earlier, it was in furtherance of spiritual mission.
Right.
And now, again, it's because he knows by prophetic gifting what's going to happen to some degree. Some things are concealed from him, so he can't reveal everything. But he knows what he knows.
Yeah.
And for that to happen, we got to do what we got to do.
Coincidence? Okay. Verse 15. And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has fed me all my life to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, let my name be named upon them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Proclaiming they're his again.
Yeah.
And giving them a blessing separate from his own children, his own biological children.
Yeah.
I mean, they're his biological grandkids, but this is a blessing that's played along with his son's blessings, because it doesn't state,
right.
Yeah, let the poor puppy out.
Go.
It doesn't state that he blesses any of the other grandchildren
Yeah.
specifically. Now, I mean, maybe he did, but it's not specific enough to show that they're included with his own sons.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference that he's going to he's treating these grandchildren differently than his other grandchildren. That's
Yes.
without a doubt. The text makes that clear in the way it handles the issue. But yeah. Now, interesting point. 16. The angel who has redeemed me from all evil.
Mm-hmm.
Who is this?
I believe that's Jesus.
The angel that he wrestled with,
Mm-hmm.
the angel of the Lord.
Like I said, they didn't know who he was. All
Yeah.
they know is he seemed to be like an angel, like the rest of them, because,
Yeah, but he
credits him.
He ties him in with God, so it's clear that the angel is God,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I was going with that.
Okay.
Like, yeah, we know him as Jesus. That with the revelation being completed, hindsight 2020, we see that, but even he now is declaring clearly that the angel of the Lord is the Lord himself. The angel that I wrestled with wasn't a regular angel, contrary to what the sages have said, because despite all their wisdom, they're just men too. They do make mistakes. That's why the Talmud is full with arguments against each other's positions. And well, here Joseph himself or Jacob himself is saying, look, I know what I know, and it wasn't an ordinary angel, it was God himself. That's evident from the language. So
Verse 17. Now when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. So he took hold of his father's hands to remove it, and Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, "Not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head." You don't understand. But his father refused and said, "I know, my son, I know. He shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly this younger brother shall be greater than he, and his descendants." That's a tough thing to hear, especially the other brother. Shall become a multitude of nations. So he blessed them that day, saying, "By you Israel will bless, saying, may God make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh." And thus he set Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Behold, I am dying, but God will be with you and bring you back to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you one portion above your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and my bow." Yeah, that's got to be a tough thing to hear as the older brother, hearing that his younger brother is going to be greater than him.
Yeah.
It's almost like an insult. I mean, really. when you look at tradition and and the way that cultures are developed, it's like it's always the older first, always the. But again, the master manipulator.
Well, it's because God's kingdom doesn't conform to the kingdoms of the earth and their ways.
And it shows, people have the mentality that the oldest is always first on everything and greater than everything. And we see throughout, I mean, even now, but David being the youngest of all of his brothers, becoming king over all.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. It's not by our plan, it's by God's plan, and he will use who he needs to use, and
yeah,
it doesn't matter what position. Judah. He's not firstborn, but he's not lastborn. You know, it doesn't matter. It's when God says this is the one, then that's the one.
Yeah. And that reminds me, going back to the previous episode, previous chapter, we talked about all the anomalies in the text and how it hinted at various things, like all the women, the, the anomalies with the women, some being named but not counted, some being counted but not named, and how that pointed to Moses' mother, and we dug into that. But what we forgot to do was talk about the anomalies regarding the males. So in that text, it, the list, or the manifest of flight, the flight manifest. There we go. Thank you. Of all the people that are making the trip down to Egypt, Judah, his sons are counted, including the 2 dead sons, and that should be a flag for us to pay attention to. And then it counts Joseph and his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, but they're already down there. So what's going on with these anomalies? Again, it's hinting at the switch between Judah and Joseph. The crown is going to be with Judah, not Joseph. But Joseph's descendants are going to have a disproportionate impact on Israel. And again, with this, he's pointing at that again. When he acknowledges God's switch in the order, and he says, and all of Israel will bless, saying, and every Shabbat, that's part of the celebration of the Sabbath, that the father will lay his hands on his sons, and then on his daughters and his wife, and his sons he will bless, saying, may you be like Ephraim and Manasseh. So it's quite literally how they bless. But several hundred years down the line, Ephraim is going to contribute most of the kings of the northern kingdom, so much so that it's going to be called Ephraim in prophetic writings instead of Israel, more than half the time. And so that tension never lets up, and it leads to the destruction of the northern tribes. Yeah.
Interesting.
But other than that, again, he's saying that, see, I'm giving you a double portion. Like, yeah, I'm not going to let you be the king. We're going to see that later on. We're coming up on chapter 49.
Yeah, the blessings of his sons. Yeah.
But he gives him in every other aspect, the blessing, or the inheritance of the firstborn. He gives him a double portion. And it's through his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. So even though Joseph's name is kind of put aside and Ephraim and Manasseh are like elevated, it's because of his love for Joseph and God's purposes. So it seems like everything just had to be the way it had to be. Um, which brings interesting questions to mind regarding. I'm not going to go there, but I'll let y'all deal with it. Y'all can think up your own questions, and but it's interesting. Like certain things in life just have to happen the way they happen. Um, I don't know.
That's all I got.
That's more than I had, but yeah. God bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you and give you peace.